Hey folks, Deano here again. This time taking a look at another CTTOYS figure, but not a figuarts clone, as they tend to do with the dragonball line. This is Spider-Man Miles Morales, number 92, and this is a clone of Mafex. Or it's a kind of clone, kind of like hybrid figure. Yeah, some of the parts, I'll be completely honest off the bat, they have cheaped out. They have taken parts from, I think it was the prior figure, to make this guy. So yeah, they haven't gone through the trouble of making every single part for this guy. They've basically used the arms and the legs from the black suit Spidey for the Mafex. But yeah, I have long been looking for a Miles Morales with the classic black and red suit design. I wasn't going to pay the over-the-top prices for any of the Marvel Legends, and to my knowledge this is the only other Miles Morales type figure. So yeah, as soon as I realised CTTOYS were getting it, I had to buy it. I did buy this last month. Funny story, I ordered it off AliExpress. For some reason it got stopped at customs, and I was very confused because it said there was a battery in it. And when the parcel arrived, it was a car charger. Yeah, something's gone a bit wrong at the factory with that one, or the warehouse. But yeah, reordered it because AliExpress did refund me. Obviously I didn't get what I paid for, so I appreciate that. They do sort issues out when you ask for them. If this comes out before the Tonsinat Toys Trunks A, that has been sorted. They gave me the refund. They have apologised. They even gave me a voucher for it. The seller got reprimanded, and it's been reordered from another seller who has already posted it. So if it's already there, I've just droned on for absolutely no reason. So but I just thought I'd let you know. But anyway, let's get this guy off the turntable and take a look at the box. So yeah, apologies, I haven't bought a Mafex figure in a long time. I used to collect a few of them back in the dark days of Mafex, where they were basically just poor, a poor man's figuarts, shall we say. I used to get a few of the Star Wars Mafex, and every single one of them either had QC issues or just looked horrendous, frankly. So yeah, stopped collecting. Realised too late that they had started doing Mafex X-Men and Mafex Marvel stuff. I missed out on Tiger Stripe Wolverine and the brown suit Wolverine. Massively regret that to this day. I hope CTTOYS, CTTOYS, for those of you who don't know, they strike a fine line between what I'd call a bootleg and an actual proper third-party company. Their figure quality isn't quite as good as I would like it to be for third-party, but at the same time, it's much better than an actual bootleg, if that makes any sense. Probably just confused every single one of you watching. But yeah, they started off doing Mafex Spiderman bootlegs to my knowledge, and then they started doing the CTTOYS Gohan, the superhero Gohan stuff. So I hope they spread out from those two specifics and start doing more. Like, if we get another third-party company doing Dragon Ball figures, all the better. There are a few older figures that could do with getting reissues that I think companies like Deano Fit wouldn't touch. So if these guys can, all the better. And the same with their Mafex clones. Tiger Stripe Wolverine, Brown Suit Wolverine, Cyclops. Basically all the X-Men that are now really up in price. Not that they started off cheap, mind you. For whatever reason, like, Mafex went up in quality, the official releases, but at the same time, massively upped the cost to buy them. That completely put me off. Like, the same with Figma. I know I'm going off on a tangent. Apologies. But yeah, I got completely put off Figma as well because they put up a... It's not Breath of the Wild link. It's Tears of the Kingdom. For some reason, they completely missed out Breath of the Wild. I was going to buy that, and then I realised it was nearly 90 quid for the standard figure. Like, come on now, guys. There's no need for that. But yeah, if we can get a company like CTTOYS to basically clone them, I'm all for that. So yeah, finally going out of the box, we have what I would assume is basically a copy of the Mafex box. So you've got a picture of Spiderman there. It's actually quite poorly printed, frankly. Don't know what that's about. You get Spiderman, Spiderman again, and then Miles Morales. I don't know why it's been mispronounced on the packaging. Is that deliberate? Like, surely you could have just left that bit from the official box. You didn't have to reprint it, guys. Number 92 and the CTTOYS logo. Even though I am pretty sure it's the same CTTOYS, like I'm about 99% sure, they use a different logo for their Mafex bootlegs, or Mafex third parties, than they do with the figuarts. So yeah, strange one. So on the side, we have a picture of Miles with a sticker over his head, and on the back, we have some nice pictures of him there. You will notice there is a small thingy of it. Basically, the cowl, like, off and in his hand. I don't believe the original release of this, like the official one, came with that. I think that's actually copied from like another figure, but it's still nice that it's included. You will notice from what you can see on this bit of the box that the arms, legs and hips and the waist are all much less defined on the official figure than what we get in the bootleg. That's because, like I said before, this figure is not an entire clone. They have taken the arms, the legs and the waist section from Symbiote Spidey, or the Black Suit Spidey, which is fair enough. Like, at the end of the day, I'm going to have him in a swinging pose anyway. I don't want him to look overly bulky and muscular, because I want him as a younger Miles, because, spoilers, this version of Miles is adult Miles, but I can fit it into my display because I wanted a PS2 version, PS4 or PS5 version for my shelf. So yeah, this was the closest I could get. Let's take a look at his accessories now. So yeah, in terms of accessories, he comes with a fair bit. First off, you do get a stand. They didn't copy the Mafex stands that you always get, but I would assume that was the box falling. Ignore that. Yeah, I would assume they still wanted a stand because he's Spider-Man. You want him in the air. Fair enough. Yeah, this is quite clearly a clone or a copy of the figuarts piece. So, always nice to have spares of that. He comes with a load of webs. So we have 2 medium-sized webs. We have 2 really long sort of webs for him to grab onto. He has hands that work perfectly fine with that to make him look as if he's swinging. And a pair of smaller web shooting hands. So yeah, you get a lot of choice with this figure. He comes with 2 alternate heads. One is this one, where the eyes are more serious, as opposed to the one that's on him, which is quite almost cartoon-like. And they're very wide. I do actually quite like the look of them. And finally we get the unmasked head, which I have to say, like, pretty decent. I always forget to say it at the start of the video, but there is a link in the description if you want to buy this guy. He was only 14 quid for me, which that is seriously straying into like bootleg prices, which, considering the quality that you actually get here, is that is a really good deal. But yeah, the unmasked head, I'll probably never use it. It's decently painted and sculpted, but I just don't display my Spider-Man unmasked. Plus the fact that this is clearly an older looking Miles. He has seen some stuff in his life. So yeah, not really something I am too interested in, I'm afraid. He comes with, like I said before, the unmasked head, which is decent enough. There's clearly indents on it for, like, to put it in the hand, which I will attempt to do, but don't hold your breath. I am not sure how it goes on. Speaking of hands, we have a pair of fists, which are on him. He actually comes with a pair of relaxed hands in the box, but I prefer the look of fists. A pair of split open sort of wall crawling hands. The same pair, only with magnets attached to them, which they do feel decently powerful, but I wouldn't trust them to actually hold the figure up. They can sort of stick to each other. He also comes with a pair of feet with the same. The magnets in these are quite a bit more powerful. Those stick together really well. There's also two on them, which is quite good. Even got toe articulation on them, but obviously you don't want to use that when you're using magnets. Pair of thwipping hands, which look decent enough. The paintwork on these hands is a little bit sloppy. They could be doing with being a bit better, but I mean, what are you going to expect for a 14 quid figure? We have a pair of relaxed hands, which, fair enough, I won't be using them, but they are there if you want. A pair of holding hands for those long webs that I showed a minute or two ago. Decent enough. They are a little bit loose though, that's the only thing I will say. Not the wrists, like actually holding the web. I might glue one of the webs into it so that I can use it. And finally, a pair of kind of relaxed hands, kind of gripping hands, which I am assuming is for the unmasked head. So let's go. Try and see if I can find this. So it sort of wedges in like that. Can I get it upside down? This doesn't appear to be working too well. That doesn't feel right. No, I don't really know how to put these hands on. And there's no instructions in the box. So yeah, I think if you're using that accessory, probably just glue it to one of the hands. You're never going to use the hand for anything else anyway. But yeah, decent array of accessories, especially for the price point. So yeah, I approve. Let's take a look at the figure now. So in terms of Miles, it's what I would assume is your standard like Mafex articulation. This guy is very articulated. Like, it doesn't look like it from like the articulation points, but he can get a lot of range out of them. Bit disappointing though to see that Mafex is still using the 1.0 style figuarts drop down hips, but I suppose you can let it be with a super articulated figure like Miles. It does give him more range, even if it's a bit awkward to use. So yeah. The only thing I will say is the red on the webbing is a little bit poorly applied. It's kind of sloppy. You can see these bits here, they should be black. There is some bits that are quite fuzzy on his upper chest, neck area. The actual heads themselves are really well done. Those are nice and clean. But yeah, it's the suit itself. It's a little bit sloppily done. Not really anything that you're going to notice once he is like posed up on your shelf, but something to keep in mind if you are a stickler for detail. But then if you're a stickler for detail, you wouldn't be looking at a 14 quid figure review on YouTube. But yeah, apart from that, like I said a couple of times before, the only differences from the official are the arms, hips and legs. The feet are probably the same, but yeah, there's a bit more muscle tone, muscle definition in the arms and legs, and the hip piece, for whatever reason, doesn't quite fit centered for me. Like if I put it centered, the legs actually look out of whack, so I don't know if there's a way to fix that. Again, not anything that affects articulation or the quality of the figure in any way, so I'll probably just leave it be. Yeah. Moving on to articulation. This is where this figure really shines. So looking up, he can pretty much do a full-on flight pose. Yeah, this is honestly where Mafex shines these days, is their articulation. They use these sort of angled double barbell joints on their necks, which, I mean, it's a little bit awkward because if you want him to look down, you would have to swivel it, because he doesn't really look down too well. But because of that angled joint, he can look up amazingly well. But with this guy, you don't really have to worry about looking down, because the neck does that for you. Yeah, he can pretty much touch his chin to his chest, which is really good. You get a lot of pivot and a lot of swivel side to side and all the rest of it. Yeah, between the upper neck and the lower neck, you are never going to find a pose you can't put this guy into in terms of the neck. The lower neck and the upper neck both have to come apart for like the alternate heads, but they both pop off fairly easily. I have tried the unmasked head on before I did the review. It's a bit more of a pain in the backside to get off and on, because of course you're swapping out the entire neck, and that neck hole has not been used, whereas this one has. So yeah, you're going to get that. In terms of arms, he can get insane range with the arms. That butterfly joint works really well in conjunction with the hinge, so he can go up that far. He can swivel completely round, no issues whatsoever. You use that butterfly joint correctly, and he is basically crossing his arms. Look at the range on that. Figuarts, you have a bit of work to do. Yeah, that shoulder just popped out, but pops back on really easily. One thing I will say is, I am not sure if this is because they're obviously using the wrong arms, but if you put the shoulders up, he can't go in a natural sort of relaxed position with the arms. You have to sort of pull them down, which gives him kind of a droopy shoulder effect, but it's not really that noticeable, to be completely honest with you. Bicep swivel, double joint at the elbow, which, yeah, that pretty much gets the full 180. Like, there's a tiniest bit of gap there. The wrist, I would say it's a ball hinge, but it's not. They are just straight pegs. Mafex learned their lesson from back in the day. Now all the wrists are just friction fit straight pegs. I kind of wish figuarts would start doing that, because these work perfectly fine and they're easy to remove. Some figuarts you are terrified in case you snap them. But yeah, the abs, just using the abs, he gets that forward and that much back, although that does kind of create a gap, but that's what the lower section's for. You do both of them together and he is pretty much crouching. Same going back the way, that does pop off. It's done it a couple of times, but it's totally fine, pops back in, no problem. But yeah, using both those joints, look at the range this guy can go in. Oh my god. Yeah, you know what I mean now about Mafex being superposable. The legs are a bit tight on one side and normal on the other. But without using the drop down, you can kick out that far. He can kick back slightly, but then his backside gets in the way. If you pull them down, his legs go all the way up there. Absolutely insane. You can get him to do splits. Pretty much. Oh, that just popped out. This is going to happen, like, with a figure like this. Mafex are pretty much designed these days to fall apart if you overextend them. So yeah, you've got thigh rotation, which is quite well hidden by the sort of design. Figuarts could learn a thing or two with that. Double joint at the knee, gets really good range. And feet get loads forward, just as much back. They do pop off easy enough, they are straight pegs as well. That's because obviously we've got a second pair of feet that you can use. Toe articulation, and a 90-degree ankle pivot. Like, insane. That is for how simple this articulation is, it's insane how well it all works. Like, honestly. And I wish I could give CTTOYS credit for that, but all they're doing is cloning the figure. But yeah, last up, I'll do a couple of comparisons with some Peter Parker Spideys that I have. I've got the figuarts one and the Marvel Legends bootleg one, both bootlegs. So we'll see what the scale is. I have heard that the scale on this guy is a bit smaller, which in my opinion fits with what I'm trying to do with him. I want a younger Miles for my display, so that'll work out quite well. Just realised I forgot to get them out of the cabinet, so yeah, give me 2 seconds till I get those. Yeah, here we go. First off, this is him next to Marvel Legends bootleg Spidey. Let's pop those back a little bit and put the camera up so that we can see. And yeah, as you can see, there is a difference in scale, especially with the Marvel Legends one. Apologies if this guy looks a bit awkward. I had him in a really extreme crouching pose, so that's why he doesn't look the best. So yeah, and secondly, here he is next to the Insomniac PS4 figuarts Spider-Man, which wasn't the best figure, not gonna lie, but it fills the gap in my collection for that particular Spidey. And yeah, again, he is a bit shorter than the Insomniac Spidey, so he will fit in very well As long as you're not wanting him as an adult, Miles. But I don't know many people who do. But yeah, he's got just enough detail on the webs that he can fit in both a comic style display or a more realistic looking one. He will basically fit both scenarios. Plus the dark colour of the suit hides the fact that it's lacking a bit of detail on the black. Because the Insomniac Miles does have a bit of detail on the black, but we won't talk about his Spider-Man 2 unique design. That suit can basically go in the bin for all I like. But yeah, if we take off that normal head and put on this one, it fits even better because now the eyes match more what the Insomniac Spidey looks like. So yeah, guys, like I said before, I'll put a link in the description if I can find it to like the Marvel Legends bootleg and the Insomniac one as well, if you so desire to get those. This one will also be in the description. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and until next time, I'll see y'all later.